hosts with the most, Janabelle. As always, welcome back. So I'm doing something kind of different, but not totally different. I'm going to actually be talking about a specific episode from a television show. I'm not going to be going, this is not going to be like a weekly thing where I'm going through every single episode. Just more something along the lines of once in a while, if I watch something or watch a couple of episodes of something, maybe talk about it. I know other YouTubers do this. I'm not trying to like rip them off or anything, but I kind of like how they sort of do these. Like I know one that comes to mind is Pushing Up Roses. Like I know she kind of does this once in a while with certain TV shows like Murder She Wrote, Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark and stuff. And I kind of like that setup because I know I've tried this before where I try to sit down, watch a complete series, and talk about each episode. For me, it's too much to keep up with, but you guys seem to kind of like when I do some of these episodes and everything and talk about them. But anyway, let's crack into it. So what we're going to be talking about today, if you couldn't really tell by the title of this video, is we're visiting the new Twilight Zone. I know it just says the Twilight Zone, but it is technically the new Twilight Zone. This is from the 80s. No, it is not the most recent one by Jordan Peele. Still have not watched that one, but specifically, we are visiting Season 1, Episode 10, which includes the episode, or in the episodes, the segments include The Shadow Man, The Uncle Devil Show, and Opening Day. I'll go through each segment and talk about each one. First one up, The Shadow Man, which is kind of the one that sort of started the ball rolling on me maybe talking about this episode. Now, first of all, before I kind of dive into this episode, sorry, I know, the new Twilight Zone, don't get me wrong, it does not hold a candle at all to the original series, but for what it is, it has some really enjoyable episodes, and this is one that definitely is probably one of my favorite episodes of the whole series, and specifically to the Shadow Man segment, which is the first segment in the show. I really love this segment, because first off, it's starring Jonathan Ward, Jason Preston, and is directed by Joe Dante, and I fucking love it. I'm just saying. So the Shadow Man segment is about basically sort of like this shadow figure that lives under this young boy's bed, this kind of nerdy, sort of not popular, really not popular, I should say, young man, very smart, like I said, he's kind of nerdy and everything, he kind of gets picked on. We could tell right off the bat that he's pretty smart, because one of his friends that he's doing homework with is like, dude, don't do the extra credit, you're gonna, like, mess up the curve and stuff. So it's just kind of like, because he's smart, he kind of gets picked on and everything, which is unfortunate, It's like, I never really understood that. If you're smart, okay, let's nag on you. Just saying. But yeah, this shadow figure kind of lives under his bed, and he is a kid who kind of, even though he's getting a little bit older, should be kind of brave enough not to believe in this stuff or get scared by this stuff, he still does. And this Shadow Man every night comes out from under his bed and always tells him the same thing. I am the Shadow Man. I will not harm the person in which under the bed I live under, so things like that. And meantime, there's all these mysterious attacks going around, usually kind of involving like younger kids and everything. So all the kids are getting a little paranoid. There's a curfew and everything, and this young girl that this young boy actually is kind of has a crush on. This young man's name is Danny in the show. He really is looking like he really likes this girl Leanna and everything. She's kind of popular. She's got a boyfriend that's her boyfriend Eric, who's on the swim team, kind of like a little sportster and everything, a little bit of a jock and everything, and yeah, like, this kid kind of picks on him too, because he knows that this kid likes his girlfriend Leanna and everything. Well, one day, Leanna needs help with her math homework, and all this stuff is going on and everything. She's like, oh, Eric, I need help. Eric's all, oh, let's do it over the phone. She's like, we can't do algebra over the phone. little Danny overhears this and is like, hey, you know what? Now's my chance. I can sneak out. I can show that I'm tough and everything. I'm going out after dark because this guy's not going to, like, get me or anything. So he kind of, because of this, kind of starts becoming popular and everything because people are like, oh my god, all these attacks and everything, and he's going out. But it's a pretty fun story. Of course, typical Twilight Zone fashion, which I kind of like about this episode. Overall in the series too, it does kind of stay somewhat in vein of a lot of these stories. Like, there's kind of that sort of statement, like there's that lesson to be learned and everything. So he wants to, actually, Eric wants to fight Danny, because he stole his girl and everything. So Danny's all like, you know what, I got this. Meet me at the park at 9 and everything. This way you won't get kicked off the swim team and everything. Eric shows up. This Shadow Man comes and everything. He's like, thinks he's, got one in on Eric and everything. Come to find out, there's not just one Shadow Man. There is more than one. Spoiler alert, sorry. But yeah, it's just kind of fun to watch this episode. I would love, this is one of the few ones that are in the series that I would have loved, still would love to see done as a feature-length movie. Like, it's just one of those sort of segments and stories that's fun like that. And like I said, I could see it being a full-length feature and everything. And plus, too, I mean, Joe Dante knows how to direct some stuff. I mean, he's directed Inner Space, he's done Gremlins, he's did directed a couple of episodes of Erie, Indiana. I mean, man's a genius. I'm just saying, he's one of those geniuses and everything. And I think that's why it does feel like it could be a full-fledged movie, because of Joe Dante and just his skills and everything. But no, that first segment, though, definitely worth checking out, at least within this episode and everything. Next segment that we have is the Uncle Devil Show, which, fun little fact, if you do actually purchase the complete series, on the main, or I should say on the menu screen when you select the episode, there is a little bit of a spelling error. Show is spelled S-W-O-W. Should have caught that, but I had to kind of point that out. The Uncle Devil Show, it's kind of an okay segment. Kind of is. Some of you I can kind of see liking. Some of you I can kind of see being like, I just feel like I've seen this before, especially too for like an 80s type show. I feel like there's been kind of a few sort of like tellings of this type of story. But the Uncle Devil Show is basically sort of a telling of parenting in a way. You do kind of see that. Because it opens up with a father coming home from, like, work. He picked up this VHS tape. Yeah, video. Before we had Blu-rays and streaming service and everything for all you youngins, we used to have to buy VHS tapes, which were popularized in the 80s and everything. So, but he comes home with this, like, little VHS tape of what he thinks is just a nice little, like, assuming it's a nice little, like, kids show or something like Sesame Street. No. I mean, the Uncle Devil Show. Shenanigans are going to ensue in this. While this kid's watching this show, like, the parents are in the kitchen talking and everything. They're talking about the neighbor kid. And the dad keeps saying, oh, well, that's supervision. You need to supervise your kids and blah, blah, blah. Kind of how you see today, especially, where so many people are, like, have so much to say about other people's parenting skills, but then they don't really look at themselves, and it's like, you should probably take some of that advice to yourself, because, well, little, I don't even know what the kid's name is, little Timmy or whatever, is in the other room. He's following the videotape. There's certain things, like, it's almost like an interactive sort of show for kids, so he's, like, doing little, like, magic things. Well, first thing is, all these cockroaches start coming out of this vase that he mailed in for and everything. He's like, oh, like, you think, okay, not so bad. But then, at one point, the show tells him to make a wish, turns his dad into, like, a lizard, and his mom into, like, I don't know, a rat or something. I don't know, something with fur. I don't even know what the hell the mom was supposed to be. I don't know. And then, like, dinosaurs just start showing up, and, like, the outside's kind of like a cartoon world. Basically, the imagination of a kid. But the kid, unfortunately, his imagination, due to this videotape, is causing his real life to kind of, like, turn to shit, basically. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting how, like, throughout the segment, once again, like, the parents going like, oh, well, supervision, and, like, the dad's, like, asking, like, well, what's the show, by the way, that, you know, he kept begging me for, and mom's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, supervision, you know, like, watch your kid, see what your kid's watching and everything. And it's, plus, too, this episode also kind of started make me think even more about talking about this episode, because I feel like, especially with, like, YouTube and with, like, a lot of, like, the age restrictions that we've all had to deal with recently, because, and I'm not saying this about all parents, but it just seems like a lot of parents kind of give their kids, like, a phone or a tablet or computer, and it's like, okay, just whatever, just go on YouTube, whatever, and don't pay attention, and then turn around and be like, well, those kids, oh my god. It's one of those things where, like, almost 30, over 30 years later, still very relevant, and I think more relevant now. So it's just kind of like a fun, cheesy little segment. Like I said, it's nothing great, but just some of the, like, little things in it, like I said, especially about the parents and talking about supervision, it's kind of like, to sort of see that back then, and it's still so relevant now, you know, so very much like some of the stuff with the original Twilight Zone that you can watch, and it's like, oh my god, it's so relevant now. Third and final segment of this episode. I was gonna say of the show. It's not of the show. Of the episode. Oh, almost said of the season. So anyway, so opening day stars Jeffrey Jones, credited as Jeff Jones. Jeffrey Jones, he's been in so many things. He's been in, like, Beetlejuice, Mom and Dad Save the World. Like, that's a really bad example of one of his film credits, because he's so much better of an actor than that movie. That's a fun movie, but I'm saying, like, he has better roles than that. But no, he's been in so many things. Definitely, once you see him, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen him. And that also stars Martin Kove. This is one, kind of a fun, interesting one. Another one that I feel like we've sort of seen done a million times, both in shows and movies and whatnot. But basically what this is, it's sort of a love, revenge, finding your true love, who is really your soulmate type of episode. Segment opens up with a sort of like a party or whatever, a little cocktail party at Jeffrey Jones' house and his wife's house and everything. They have 2 kids and everything. Kids are away for the weekend or whatever for the night. And Martin Kove's character, Joe, him and her are actually having this passionate love affair and everything. Next day is the opening day of of hunting. So, you know, these two are, like, you know, good buds and everything, or so they think they're good, or at least Jeffrey Jones' character, Carl, thinks they're good buds and everything. Like, they go way back. Like, BFFs, man, BFFs for life, but your BFF is banging your wife. Watch that shit. I'm just saying. But yeah, so they, the wife, Sally, and Joe are like, okay, well, tomorrow's the perfect day, or the wife's like, it's perfect day tomorrow, you can kill him, like, whatever, you know, can make it look like an accident and everything. So they do it and everything. Cops show up and everything, and Joe's character, I mean, you can kind of tell too, like, you know, he's like, oh god, he was my best friend, but you can tell he's so insincere about it. And I feel like the cop kind of even picks up on that a little bit too. Cop even asks, like, oh, you know, did you find your gun? He's like, oh, it's probably down there in the lake or something, I dropped it. I don't even want it back. Like, how can I ever go hunting again after this, you know? Like, oh, I can't. It's going to bring back too many bad memories. So he's trying to call Sally. He's not getting through. And all this fog's kind of starting to come. You know something's coming. And the cop shows up, finds him at the payphone. Yeah, payphones. Another thing you kids don't understand about is payphones. Yeah, we didn't always have cell phones. Just saying. So, well, we had cell phones back then, but you couldn't afford them because they were like $80,000 and cost you like $8 a minute. You had to be rich to have that shit back then. Just saying. Stuff. Sorry. So, the cop finds him, has the rifle. He's like, oh, we found your rifle. He's kind of like, okay. So he goes back to Sally's place, and the two kids come running up and go, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy! He looks over at, like, the picture that's on the table that originally, when we opened up, was a picture of Jeffrey Jones' character and the wife, Sally. Well, now it's Joe and Sally. And kids are his and everything. So then the night starts playing out again. And because Joe just went through this and everything, he's thinking, like, I know what's going on. They're having an affair. Like, all this stuff and everything. So he tries to kind of, like, up one Carl and everything. And tries to pull the same thing. Because he's like, no, I finally have what I want. I'm keeping it. And, yeah. Well, it doesn't turn out the way he plans, because we come to find out, like, the accident happens and everything. Joe, ends up, like, dying and everything, and Carl's character is so distraught because he truly was not having an affair. In this alternate universe, he was not having an affair. Sally was not having an affair or anything. It proving sort of that, Carl is truly a man of his word, respectful, values his relationships and everything. And that's the thing. It kind of preaches a little bit of, I don't want to say preach, but kind of teaches, like, value your relationships, value what you are to other people and everything. And even with his reaction when it plays out, when he's talking to the cop, like, he's so visibly shaken up and genuinely shaken up by this accident and everything, goes to Sally to let her know what happened. He's just like, I'm so sorry, like, oh, and she even said too, well, I'm just thankful it wasn't you, and almost has, like, this smile on her face, pans back to the picture, and is now again back to Carl and Sally sitting on top of the car. So it's just another one of those episodes that it's kind of like, you know what, lesson learned here, like I said, just value what you have, appreciate the relationships you have, and sometimes things are the way they are because that is the way they should be. Terrific little episode. Like I said, it's, all three segments aren't anything completely great, but they are entertaining, and I feel like some people would kind of enjoy some of these episodes and everything. So, but yeah, that's just my little take on season 1, episode 10's episode and everything. If you guys have seen these episodes or have seen other episodes from the new Twilight Zones, feel free to kind of comment down below, whatnot. Hopefully I'll kind of do, like, a few more episodes, every so often. So I'm just saying, hopefully more for you guys. Till next time, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.